morning, everyone. How are you today? I'm going to give a talk a little bit blunt and a little bit, and I'm just going to say, I don't mean any disrespect to anybody, but I'm just saying it the way that I see it. And you could disagree with me, that's fine, but I'm just trying to like give you my perspective on things with regard to spiritualism. Now, for me, spiritualism has been a really long journey. And like I said, I started looking for an answer in about the year 2000 when I have lost a significant number of friends, relatives, whatever. And I just always felt, and I mean, I was raised Roman Catholic, and every time I went to a funeral mass, I always felt like I had my guts ripped out. It was terrible. And I was like, I go, there has to be something else. There has to be another answer and another solution. So I kept looking and I was investigating. And at the time I was working with in a job where I was introduced to a spiritualist church, which I'm not going to mention at this point, but I started to go there. And I started to become interested in spiritualism. And I started to, do some research because that's the kind of person that I am. I try to always look for the proof or the identity. Now, I remember from being in college that being taught certain things, like I'm very good at Jeopardy. Like I have like a lot of eclectic knowledge, but none of it's really worth too much except for the game show. But I'll share some of it with you. Okay, and I mean, these are things that I genuinely believe in my heart. And I mean, I think that today, like people are too focused on like saying, well, this person is against me or that person is against me. When we talk about diversity and we talk about our differences, but I'm saying to myself, what about if we turn that around and like look at some of the things that we have in common, even though we're different, but we do have some common elements. Okay. And first that I would like to say is that I believe that every life born, whether it's an animal, a plant, or a person, is a sacred thing from God. And I believe that, everything has an energy or a soul. And I believe, like spiritualism, that energy isn't created, isn't destroyed, but it goes on. So that was like one of the first things that really intrigued me. But some of the history buff in me comes up, and I kept thinking to myself, well, what does God really mean? So if you look in the Bible, in the Hebrew Bible, the word is Yahweh. And when you translate it loosely, it means I am. Okay, so that means that we all are part of God, or God is part of us. By we are His creation or her creation, however you would describe it. And there's many roads to God. I mean, there's not. I used to come out of the Catholic Church, and the woman would try to sell you a plot in the Catholic cemetery. And I was like, okay, well, am I going to be in the Catholic part? Or if you went to a temple, where the Jewish people, they would say, okay, I'm in a Jewish cemetery. And I'd say to myself, well, there has to be many paths to God. There's not just one true path. I believe that, all things, if they're done in love, reflect God. Okay. But I also believe that God reflects intelligence. And I believe that spiritualism is an intelligent religion. So I'll just give you, when I was looking in my research, I found the French philosopher Rene Descartes, and he says, I think, therefore I am. Okay, so that's a part of I am, like God. I am part of God. I have that God. Sharon wrote a paper for a magazine or an article for a magazine years ago called The God Particle, and I don't exactly understand it, but somehow through genetics, we all have a common genetic element that, I can't really explain it, but I know it was a very well written thing, and I'll try to find it sometime and like reread it. But I mean, we all have something from God, and we all have gifts, and we all have good points, and we all have bad points. And sometimes we get so involved in looking at criticizing the other person for what they believe, how they live, or whatever, and we sit in judgment of them. And then I say to myself, well, how am I any different? I mean, I make the same mistakes that other people have made, and that's how I kind of try to change my philosophy a little bit. And I say to myself, well, I would never do something to somebody that I wouldn't want done to me. So I mean, so many people are just focused in on what their agenda is or what they have. Okay, I've covered this. But one of the principles of spiritualism that I really believe in strongly is personal responsibility. And having more years now behind me than in front of me left on this earth, and having incurred more losses along the way, it sets my mind to think, what does the death process really hold for us? Is it really everything that we say that it is? Are we going to see our loved ones? And I definitely believe in my heart that we will. And I definitely believe, and again, I'm coming from a Catholic background, so this for me was a giant leap forward. But I mean, when I'm looking at like the demonstration of mediumship on any level, I say to myself, this is a miracle from God. It's only because of God gives us the power to communicate, and all people have the power to communicate with God, whether we call it prayer, mediumship, whatever. But life continues on, and God gives us the ability to communicate with our loved ones before we see them when we go to the spirit world. That is what I believe. And like I said, the one thing that I find beautiful about spiritualism is that it's a very wide net. It's not like it doesn't exclude people; it includes more people. Because even in our own bylaws of this center, we talk about inclusivity, including all people. That all people are welcome. That all people share God's love equally, and that's how we should try to be living. And taking personal responsibility. What does that really mean? People will say, well, I have to watch out for myself first. And on a superficial level, the survival instinct in us tells us, yes, that is true. But we also have a personal responsibility to try to look out for the welfare of others and to try to do the best job that we can to help them along the way. I mean, and I'm not saying you have to give everything away, but it's usually been my experience that people that have less give more, and people that are more privileged, that have a lot of money or a lot of resources, give very little. And I always ask myself, why is that? I can't really explain it, but I know in the afterworld or the spirit world, we'll kind of have a life review, and we'll look at all the things that we've done positive and negative in the world, and it will be weighed out. And like spiritualism says, and this is the intelligence of it, that it's a thoughtful religion because it's a balance. Like what have you done more good than bad? And Bill Collar said this many times too. Like some of the problem, like when people are on their deathbed, they think to themselves, well, and whoever comes in, the minister, the priest, the rabbi, whatever it is, how bad have I been? How good have I been? Am I good enough to go to heaven? Am I not good enough? And in my belief, and I'm just saying, this is my honest to God belief because of the things that I've witnessed and the things that have happened to me in the unfoldment process of this, that God is loving, however you conceive God to be, if it's a man, if it's a woman, if it's combined energy, I don't know. I mean, I think there's many ways to God, but God is not out to get or to malign us. God is here to help us if we try to help, but we have to help each other as well. I mean, always in the Catholic faith, they always say, well, I have to pray about it. And praying is good. And I'm not saying prayer isn't good. Prayer has a powerful presence, but prayer has to be linked with an action. So, I mean, when I was in college, I used to follow the football team, and I would follow the chaplain. And, we would work with the football team. And we had a big football game coming up against a rival college, and the football player asked the priest, well, if we pray, now that we prayed, does that mean that we're going to win? And the priest said, well, we'll win if you block your man. Okay? So, I mean, he's trying to tell the guy, prayer is good, and I'm not negating prayer. And prayer is a positive thing, but also an action has to be with it. And sometimes the action, we have to step out from our own comfort zone and say, extend ourselves. And I found like the most rewarding experiences that I've had in life were things that, when I extended myself and doing things that I didn't think I was capable of doing. And one of them was mediumship. Another one is public speaking. Another one is serving people and trying to help people. I mean, so you grow as a person. As you go on, you get a little bit better. So I'm just saying this, like, if everyone just tried to take a step back for a second and just say, because our country's so divided right now, and just say, instead of putting out a bad thought to that person, what about put out a good thought to that person and say, what can I do to change the situation? How can I make the world better? How can I help somebody else and help myself as well? Because if we're helping somebody else, we're also helping ourselves, because when we come to to our life's review, and we're looking at our life and we say, how did I hurt that person? I'd like to do that over again. And the good thing about spiritualism is that you really do get a chance. You always get a second chance, because I mean, our loved ones are not really gone. They're just with us in a different point. So, things that weren't said during this lifetime can be said through communication, through spirit communication. And I genuinely believe that with all my heart. I mean, I look at this place and I said, probably the most influential person that has changed my life, mostly by example and not by words, was Sharon, because she lives it every day. And like I said, she has a very special gift of mediumship, and she cultivates that gift in other people, makes it available to people. All people are welcome in this center. Nobody's been turned away. It's like, when we don't care, like, what do you believe, or do you go to some other church, or do you go to some other center? That's not part of it, like who we are. We include all people. And I feel genuinely like loved and supported. And I feel like this really is a family. And I have to say, like, I feel closer to a lot of the people in this room than I feel to my own biological family. I have more connection, more roots, more commonality. And I firmly believe, like, when we cross over, like, because of all the work that we've done here, that it will make our journey easier to get to the spirit world. And then when we get there, communicating back to our loved ones who are still here to help them to make the journey, to cross over, whatever they're struggling with. Because, like, as a parent, you're never done. You're never developed. As a medium, you're never done. You're never developed. You always learn every day, another way of communicating, another way of helping people, whatever. And that's what we should all be striving to do. I'm not saying we should become mediums or ministers or anything like that. All I'm saying is, like, if we try to look at the things that connect us more than the things that divide us, I think that we would be in a more positive place. And I'm just saying, like, in our own Declaration of Independence, we say that, we believe in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So in our own pursuit of happiness, if we try to help somebody else along the way, maybe we help ourselves as well. And those are my thoughts for today. Thank you.